In an effort to improve as storytellers ourselves, we believe it is imperative for us to study what came before us. Today we are going to be looking at what we call the getting the band together scene in Arrival. For context, Amy Adams' Louise has just been picked up by Forrest Whitaker's Colonel Weber and is being taken to the site of the alien ship in Montana. As she rides in the helicopter, Jeremy Renner's Ian starts to talk to her. However, she is unable to understand him because of the helicopter's noise. This is the movie. In a short 20-second sequence of actions and reactions, we get the entirety of the film summed up. The crux of the film is Louise's journey to understanding the alien language. Her inability to hear and thus understand what Ian is saying is exactly what she goes through with the heptapods. Initially, when she first meets them, she is unable to make progress in understanding their language. But, just like when she puts on the radio headset in the helicopter, once she finds some common ground by taking off her hazmat suit and showing them her real self, she is able to make progress in understanding their language, bridging that gap. When we do get to hear what Ian is saying, we find out that he is reading something that Louise wrote about language. Thus, we get a better understanding of Louise. This is also a perfect introduction to Ian's character. By having him read something that Louise wrote, the storytellers give us the immediate thought that this person does their research. And when someone is well read, we draw the conclusion that they must be intelligent. Once the Colonel introduces them to each other, they start a conversation about the statement she wrote. Louise calls it,
"It's the kind of thing you write as a preface. Dazzle them with the basics."
Giving us the idea that she has much more to offer when it comes to that subject. Ian proceeds to challenge her on this idea.
Even if it's wrong.
It's wrong.
Well, the cornerstone of civilization isn't language, it's science.
Not only are the storytellers giving us the characterization of Ian being an intelligent person, but we are also shown that he is willing to push back, especially on things he believes in. This is set up for the multiple times in the film where Ian will go against the orders of the people in charge in favor of what he believes to be right. By giving us a strong introduction with a pinch of conflict thrown in, the storytellers tell us all we need to know about Ian's character before the Colonel gives us his credentials. This sets up the Colonel giving Louise the rundown of what she will be doing once they reach the site. We now have our players and we have our field, but we still need to know what the purpose of the game is.
Priority 1. What do they want? Where are they from?
This is the final ingredient. We now have all the essential elements of the story. But, as every good storyteller knows, the essentials will only get you so far. Which is why the scene continues with Ian trying to add things to the list of questions they have for the heptapods, all of which, of course, have to deal with science. But Louise is able to bring it back to the basics.
Binary sequence.
How about we just talk to them before we start throwing math problems at them?
When getting the band together for a story, you do need conflict. Otherwise, the scene is just kind of boring. However, too many writers use an unnecessary amount of conflict, usually external, when they could be using a philosophical conflict to not only keep the scene engaging, but also give us more insight into the characters. The scene is capped off by the Colonel emphasizing that they need both of them to do the job. And of course, a little humor never hurts. And that is why this is a perfect scene.
Coffee with some aliens.